In 1976, 5 fresh-faced northerners with their own unique take on fashion took the pop music world by storm. But we couldn't get the Bay City Rollers, so I've asked my own friends band from Derry if they'd play for us instead. The Undertones have just begun a tour to celebrate their 40th anniversary, and we are delighted and really privileged to have them with us here right now. They're going to play their debut album. They're also going to play a few extras for you as well. And also they're going to have a chat with me. Ladies and gentlemen, the Undertones.
So clever, never in doubt, but I see you together, fooling about. Don't get me wrong now, I've seen what you are. Mommy wouldn't like it, it's gone too far. Your favorite game. You never try to hide it. There is no shame. You soon be discovered. What will you do then? Family entertainment will come to an end.
Thank you very much. This is called I Know a Girl. I'm really happy because we forgot to bring our big applause boards. Thank you very much. Hey. This song is another song from the first record before we take a break and have a bit of a chat with Stephen. And this is called Gotta Getta. The original studio version of this features Michael reading from, is it the Derry Journal? We haven't brought the Derry Journal, so that portion of it will be absent. So apologies in advance if that's your favourite bit. Anyway, here's the rest.
Under everyone's chair, there's a copy of that paper, and you can read it
do
yourself.
Yeah. Just to make sure you're all in the same story.
Cause when she's in the group, she knows she's never alone. There'll always be somebody who's just hanging around, waiting for a chance to start putting her down. Next time, we'll have to do better. I gotta get her. I gotta get her. I gotta get her. Little Shady hides in the front of the car. He never learned to drive, he knows it's too late now. He changed the ignition on and it's ready to start. His car begins to move, he feels it falling apart. Next time, we'll have to do better. I gotta get her. I gotta get her. I gotta get her.
And that was Gotta Getta. Will you please give it up for John and Damian O'Neill? Well, first of all, guys, can I just say thank you so much for being here. It is absolutely brilliant.
No problem. We're more welcome, Stephen.
So take us right back to the start, because we're looking back at the first album, but go back even further, back before there was ever a band called the Undertones. Can you remember when music itself first kind of bit you, when it really, really captured your imagination?
I remember probably the Beatles. Every Christmas, they always show the Beatles films. Early 71, 72, every Christmas. I loved the Beatles, absolutely loved the Beatles. And seeing that, you kind of got a feel for how it'd be great to be in a band sort of thing. And obviously, the early 70s was a great time for singles with the whole glam rock, T-Rex and Roxy Music, David Bowie and all and great records. So kind of learned what to pick out what was a great record and what wasn't such a great record. And as well as that, New Musical Express was a music paper that kind of around 73, 74 I started to buy. And that also included loads of articles about where rock music came from, early 50s and the blues. And that kind of educated me in what to look out for and what to listen to that influenced such and such a thing.
And at what point along that journey did you start playing guitar?
I don't know, about 74, 75 possibly. My brother was a sort of folk singer. He was writing songs as well, you know.
He had a sort of nylon string, Spanish guitars kind of thing. And that's when we...
That must have been
sort of picked it up.
I was always lying about.
And did you sort of start playing guitar around the same time?
It was a wee bit later, actually, than John and Vincent, my other brother Vincent. It's probably about a year later.
I'd been playing for about a year and a half, Damian. And Damian was better than me after 6 months. You know? So that's when I just stuck the chords and just let him work out the solos and stuff, you know.
So how did the Undertones ever get together in the first place? How did that happen?
I can't remember.
Yes. Well, John and Billy were good friends, basically. And Vincent, our brother Vincent, Mickey Bradley was Vincent's best friend at school. So it was kind of through school, really. Those four got together first, then Fergal. Billy knew Fergal, because I think he was his second cousin or something. So then Fergal came in. And this is all convoluted, but Vincent eventually left, and I replaced him.
Was that
And voila.
Was that tense in the O'Neill household whenever Vinny left and you took
I don't
over?
know. I don't think it was. The only dodgy thing was Mickey didn't want me in the band and all that. He hated my guts. I was just the wee brother, you know.
And just for the benefit of people listening at home, Mickey is nodding to that comment. So do you remember the first song that you actually wrote, John?
I think it was I Told You So. Ended up being the B-side of Wednesday Week. Just really, again, that was around 76, and we loved Dr. Feelgood and the whole pub rock. Sort of slightly before punk happened, you know. I was just really trying to write a song that sounded a bit like that there, you know, 3 chords.
Tell us how your house became headquarters for the Undertones.
I think because we were closer to the town, so everybody, and also they all lived in hills, so we were kind of below sea level, and they were above.
So they descended upon your house.
Well, even
literally?
if you look at the cover, our house was just up the road from. We all played football together, and that was the park that was down in the front cover of the
So
first
it's
LP.
like 2-minute walk from our house.
That was why it was appropriate. We took that picture in the park, you know. Our house was just literally around the corner, just up, 200 yards up from the football.
And did your parents object at all to the fact that there was a whole gang of you?
No, we were lucky there.
They were so encouraging, so encouraging, because, you know, there's loads of us always in the house drinking tea and watching television. Every day, like Mickey and Billy would be there virtually every day, and Fergal as well, so it was like a gang, you know.
Yeah. And it seems that different parts of the house were really significant. You've got the pit upstairs.
Pit.
What was the pit? Tell us about it.
Pit was my bedroom, me and Vinny's bedroom, actually, at the time.
It was called the pit.
The very top.
3 of us our bedroom at one time.
Oh, actually, aye.
Before brother went to university.
It was the equivalent to Derry's Brill building, basically. Well, we knocked out all those great songs.
And you were writing songs in that room right up until the 3rd record, is that right?
That's
Or
right.
near enough.
Yeah, we were practicing up there as well before tours and
Till
stuff.
after the 3rd record.
Yeah. There's been a suggestion that it should be turned into a museum now, an Undertones museum. Have you heard this?
I think I heard rumour. I don't know. Well, if somebody wants to do it, I'll give it the green light, yeah. Be great.
Well, before you were writing your own songs, what kind of songs were you playing in the band at that stage?
Beatles, Rolling Stones, early Rolling Stones, R&B.
Them.
You know. Creedence Clearwater.
Yeah.
Love them.
Punk rock didn't start in England, it started in America. And we heard about television, Blondie,
The
especially
Ramones.
the Ramones for us, because the Ramones it was a lot easier to work out their songs. And they had a sense of humour that appealed to us as well.
Yes, definitely.
You know?
Well, you're actually going to do a cover version for us now. And there's a connection between this and Gotta Getta, which you played just a few moments ago
Well,
for us.
it's similar chords. I was just, you know, we used to play There She Goes Again, the song we're going to do, Velvet Underground song. And I was trying to write a song similar to it, but at least use the same chords. And so it's the same chords as There She Goes Again, as I Gotta Getta.
Brilliant. Well, guys, it's amazing to talk to you. Thanks so much for joining us. And if you want to take your place on the stage again, John and Damian O'Neill. And as they mentioned, they're going to be covering a song which featured originally on the first Velvet Underground album in 1967, an album which changed the landscape for guitar music and is still changing it. This is the Undertones with their version of There She Goes Again.
There she goes again. There she goes. She's out on the streets again. There she goes. She's down on her knees, my friend. There she goes. But you know she'll never ask you please again. There she goes. I take a look, there's no tears in her eyes. She won't take it from just any guy. What can you do? There she goes. You see her walking on down the street. There she goes. Look at all your friends she's gonna meet. There she goes. Better hit her. There she goes again. There she goes. She's knocked out on her feet again. There she goes. She's down on her knees, my friend. There she goes. But you know she'll never ask you please again. There she goes. Take a look, there's no tears yeah, she's gonna work it. She's gonna work it out. Bye bye. Bye 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 bye, baby.
Thank you very much. And thank you, the great Lou Reed, of course. Cheers.
This is called Girls Don't Like It. It's from the LP. It's not like the Lou Reed at all, wasn't it?
Not at all.
Where did we see this one from, Joe?
Yeah.
Eddie Cochran.
It's more Eddie Cochran, isn't it?
Eddie Cochran.
Here comes Eddie in a brand new car, driving like that he won't get far. Kissing in the backseat all the way home. You can't do that. You're on your own. What else can you do if the girls don't like it? What else can you do if the girls don't like it? Says he doesn't have nowhere else to go. No late night movies, no radio, just the TV switched up really loud. You know what I mean? Becomes part of the crowd. What else can you do if the girls don't like it? What else can you do if the girls don't like it? But the girls wanna know what we're gonna do now. Always up to things they're not supposed to allow. Leading us on, telling us no, making us stop instead of letting us go. What else can you do if the girls don't like it? What else can you do if the girls don't like it? What else can you do if the girls don't like it? What else can you do if the girls don't like it? What else can you do if the girls don't like it?
Thanks very much. That was a bit slower than usual. This is called She's a Runaround. Everybody remember Mike Reid and Runaround and all that? I don't think it's about that, is it? No, it's definitely not about that. But remember, no, well, it was a good show. Run around now. I thought he was great. He was like your favorite Cockney uncle.
She doesn't know what she's feeling inside. She'll never get what she's never had. She wants to leave home, but she can't get away. Always on her own every single day, 'cause she's a runaround. What a total disaster, she's a runaround. She got nothing to do, she's a runaround. Doesn't know what she's after, she's a runaround. She hasn't a clue. She wishes she could live in a world of her own, or go someplace where she's not known. Stuck for here to do any good. Can't get the satisfaction she wishes she could, 'cause she's a runaround. What a total disaster, she's a runaround. Well, she got nothing to do, she's a runaround. Doesn't know what she's after, she's a runaround. She hasn't a clue. She doesn't know what she's feeling inside. She'll never get what she's never had. She wants to leave home, but she can't get away. Always on her own every single day, 'cause she's a runaround. What a total disaster, she's a runaround. She got nothing to do, she's a runaround. Doesn't know what she's after, she's a runaround. She hasn't a clue.
Thank you.
She's a Runaround. Give it up for the Undertones. And also for Mickey Bradley and Billy Doherty. They're joining us on our carefully constructed capsule of conversation. So we were talking about the O'Neill's house earlier
Yeah.
on. What about Mrs. Sims' shed?
Yeah.
Why does that get a mention? Why is that important?
Oh, God, it's very important because we had a place to rehearse and we basically stayed there for most of the summer of 76
and 77. We started off in O'Neill's house. Me and Billy basically lived there, you know. We were always in O'Neill's house, and then we got Sims's shed. Now, shed sounds like something, you know, you'd buy in B&Q or something. It wasn't. It was like an old brick outhouse, and we were upstairs on it. It's where Sparky the dog lived.
That's true because...
Sparky Sims.
Sparky Sims, and Sparky was a female dog, and she had pups, but she had the pups in my bass drum, so we couldn't practice. So we had to wait for Sparky to have her pups and then leave, then we could practice.
So because Sims's were... It's typical us, you know, it's a very complicated story. Basically, my brother was married to a tractor Sims, and my sister was going out with Paddy Sims, and it was Paddy Sims organising. But also, as well as that, Mrs. Sims used to teach Fergal singing just before the fish. Fergal would always go down to her house, this is obviously when he was small, and he would stand on the table, and she would put him through the paces for the singing. Bet you really regret asking that question now.
That's worse than the O'Neill's about Funny and everyone else.
Yeah.
So much of your kind of world at that time seems to be, you know...
Seems to be weird.
Well, it seems to be weird, but it also seems to be very self-contained. It's within line of sight. So you've got O'Neill's over on one side, you've got Bull Park in front of the album, and then just beside it...
Sims's was right beside that, yeah. And as Damian says, I lived up the hill from O'Neill's house, and you lived up the hill.
I live up the hill as well.
Up near where Fergal lives too.
I mean, there was a lot going on in Derry at that time. Why did you decide not to approach that subject matter in your songs?
The Troubles.
The Troubles.
What you're talking about? What was going on in Derry?
I don't know. Some shenanigans.
Some scandal? Well, you see, you're asking the wrong boys. We could say, well, John wrote the songs. I think it was... Well, my understanding of it was that we wanted to write songs... Well, John wanted to write songs that sounded like the records that we liked, you know. So that's kind of what we went for, especially in the early years and so on, you know.
So I suppose, like, we're all mates and we all had a common interest in music. And we're all quite similar in our outlook and tastes.
That's not what he's asking.
But that's why we never got involved, and because we had a distraction.
That's a good politician's answer there. Just moves away from something else. Well, I'm glad you asked me that, Stephen. Yeah. So that's the kind of outreach.
Well, how did you feel when you first heard one of John's songs?
I thought it was great. It was. I remember Told You So, and it was great. I remember thinking it was very simple, which was good because that means I could play the bass for it. You know what I mean?
Exactly. I don't know.
And then I remember Girls Don't Like It. I remember showing us Girls Don't Like It too, and Gotta Getta and everything. You know, it was great. Really was great. And we always had a great technique as well. You know, he would. Sometimes John would tape it on cassette, and you'd hear his voice singing, which was always good for a laugh. But you know, he showed us the chords, and at the same time, he showed Fergal the words, and he was showing Fergal the tune, and we were working at it. And it was always a great time. And whenever you were working on a song, there was a great time when it all just clicks. And then it was always great because sometimes he didn't have a middle bit. Musicians call that bridge, apparently. We just called it the middle bit. And it was always, it needs a middle bit. And sometimes we would make up a middle bit there and then. And there was a great satisfaction in it, you know, it really was. And I remember coming out of practices and such a good mood because there was a new song and it was really good.
Tell me about your early gigs.
We'd played the Scout Hall in Craigan because Fergal was a Scout leader. And we played in front of his Scout troop, who were all like about 10 years old. Seriously? And they invaded the stage at the end. They did. We whipped them into a sense of frenzy.
They're looking for a badge.
They were looking for a badge.
Scout badge.
They were actually looking to get out. That's what it was. Because the door was behind the stage. And that was kind of a rehearsal for the first one, which was the 16th of March, 1976, the day Harold Wilson resigned, as you remember. Of course. And that was a school concert in St. Joseph's School. There was all different sort of people on. There was, I think, was Irish dancers on or something?
Come on.
There was other wee bands and people singing songs, you know. But anyway, we did 6 songs, and I remember thinking it was really good. We really enjoyed it.
And you had a different name that day?
First of all, we didn't have any name until the teacher who was emceeing it, just as we were about to play, and he says, "What do you call the band? What's the name of the band?" And Fergal says, "The Hot Rods."
You see, I thought you said that.
No, it was Fergal. Why would I say the Hot Rods?
I don't know. I thought you said the Hot Rods.
Fergal says the Hot Rods. We kind of looked at him.
There's a band called the Hot Rods.
Exactly.
Oh, there was. Yeah,
but you didn't have time because, you know, we were playing Jumpin' Jack Flash with the first song, so John went, "Da, da." And then the second time, we were playing, a couple of weeks later, or a couple of months later, playing a youth club somewhere, and I'm nearly sure he called us Little Feet, which is the name of an American band.
That's it.
So we had to come up with a name that Fergal had never heard of.
Well, where
We were going to call ourselves the Rolling Stones. He probably would have went with it.
So in the absence of the Rolling Stones,
Yeah.
where did the Undertones come from?
Well, I seen the name in one of John's history books, and it just seen it, Undertones, and I said, well, what about Undertones? Because it kind of had a kind of punky sounding name. And, well, we put it on the bass drum. Fergal was on holidays, by the way.
No, we
while
were
doing this.
We were at a Scouts event down in Dublin, me and Sherky and Vanny.
Well,
Yeah.
So I put the name on the bass drum, you know, the logo, the Undertones on the bass drum, and Fergal hated the name. But it was too late because it's on the bass drum. They had no choice. They had to go with it.
It's set in stone.
Set in stone, and it stuck.
And of course, you're very heavily associated with the old Casbah Club in Derry.
Yeah.
But for the benefit of people who don't know anything about it, what exactly was it?
It was a pub, really.
Yeah.
But it was a pub that put on bands that didn't play chart songs,
Yeah.
if you know what I mean. A lot of pubs would have had bands on as entertainment, and they would have played the top 20 or, you know, kind of a hangover from show bands. But the Casbah was... people in Belfast would know the Pound, which was like a club that bands would have gone to and played rock, guitar, blues kind of stuff. The Casbah was a bit like that. We kind of approached them, and we knew that... Well, we'd hoped that they would kind of allow us on, even though we weren't typical of the type of bands. But I think they realised that it was a band doing something different.
Yeah.
So we were on there, and it was great.
Well, I mind as well, too. My memory is that myself and John, we tried to get bookings for the band because it's very difficult to get anywhere to play. We went round every pub, and the only place that offers us somewhere to play was the Casbah. And we ended up, we had a residency in there. We played every Thursday and Friday.
Every weekend.
Every weekend, like.
Yeah.
And then all our friends used to come and watch us play, and then gradually got a following.
But it was very good because you were playing in there every week.
That's it, yeah.
And there was never any pressure on you. You know, no one would come up and say, do you know any Status Quo? Or do you know any Bay City Rollers? We were just playing what we played, and we started to attract people. And also, you get better because more and more practice.
And that gave us the drive to keep doing more and more songs, and John was writing more and more songs, so at least we had an outlet to portray our music.
Well, tonight you're playing the debut album. It was recorded in Eden Studios. Other punk rock icons performed there, recorded there. The Sex Pistols recorded there, Patti Smith, Elvis Costello, and of course, George Michael. What was it like to actually make that record?
It was brilliant. It was 4 weeks, and it was a real opportunity to experiment and working with a producer Roger Bashirian.
I had to get Pete Thomas from Elvis Costello on the tracks, and he actually came down and tuned my drum kit because I didn't know how to tune my kit. But I found the thing very, very intimidating at the start. But gradually, as you get to do it, you become more and more comfortable with what you were doing.
I didn't know that.
I was always a bit nervous.
You should have said.
I did. I did say, but they don't listen to me. They don't listen.
We also got free sandwiches.
Okay, well, Billy, I want to ask you about the next song we're going to hear.
Yeah.
You're going to play Billy's Third for us.
Yeah.
Was there a Billy's First? Was there a Billy's Second?
Yes.
Where are you now? And
Well, Billy's... Well, I wish
Billy
there
four and a
was
half.
Billy 4 and 5 and 6 and 7, but first one was Really, Really, which is the B-side of Get Over You, and then Wrong Way, which is on...
Is that the second one? Wrong way?
Wrong Way's the second one, and then Billy's Third is the third song.
You were like Beethoven's fifth. That's what it was, Billy's third, Beethoven's fifth.
But I wish there was a fourth, fifth, and whatever.
Yeah.
all right, guys. Well, when you're ready,
Okay, thank
we'll
you.
ask you to take to the stage and perform Billy's Third for us. So
thank
will you
you.
give it up again for Mickey Bradley and Billy Doherty from the Undertones?
Thank you very much. It's getting warm in here. I believe the summer may be coming.
Ooh, baby, baby, what can I do? You know you drive me crazy when I'm looking at you. Summer's really here and it's time to come on. Time to discover what fun is about. Here comes the summer. Here comes the summer. Here comes the summer. I'm looking for the girls with their faces all tan. Lying the beaches all covered in sun. Stretching out their long legs lying in the sun. They know they're beautiful, they're having fun. Here comes the summer. 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 Looking for the girls with their faces all tan. Lying the beaches all covered in sun. Stretching out their long legs lying in the sun. They know they're beautiful, they're having fun. Here comes the summer. 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 Here comes the summer.
Thank you very much. Well, for all you people out there in Radioland, this is called Listening In.
I was sitting on my own, no one there, so I picked up the phone. Then I heard your voice, I was listening in. You were talking in the phone. I wasn't there, but I heard it all. Nothing I could do, just a listening in. Listening in. On the carpet, you're so small. He's got you covered wall to wall. Nothing I could do, just a listening in. Listening in. Now you're gone and you're last day. Nothing I can do instead. No more, no more, no more listening in. Listening in.
Thank you.
Listening in from the debut Undertones record. And will you please give it up for Paul McLoone? So, Paul, you're a lot younger than
Oh, thanks
the
for
rest of the
saying
band.
that.
Just put it out
It's
there.
true. It is true. Much younger.
What are your memories of Derry around about the time that they were performing?
Much like I imagine a lot of people's experience of Belfast or wherever else people here are from in Northern Ireland, it wasn't a good time by any stretch of the imagination, and Derry was no exception. There were great things, of course, but you know, the backdrop wasn't great. And they see a bunch of guys from your street. You know, you'd see them walking down your street and you'd see them up the town and whatever, and then you'd see them on Top of the Pops on Thursday night when you're 11. Like, boys from Derry didn't go on Top of the Pops, you know? So that was a big deal. That was a really big deal, especially for me. I was like a religiously addicted kid to pop music, you know, and I watched Top of the Pops without fail every week, and I loved music, and I was in love with music from when I was a toddler, as long as I can remember. So to see these guys that you would see at the weekend in town, and then they're on Top of the Pops, and you knew about them, everybody talked about the Undertones and whatever, and they were a local success story. But the reality of them being in your living room then, in Derry, on Top of the Pops, was a kind of a bit of a head-changing kind of moment, you know? I mean, it really was. It made possibilities open up, you know, that just weren't there before.
But were you a fan?
I was a huge fan, yeah. I loved the Undertones music. I was actually too young. I was frustratedly too young to go to gigs. I remember they were supposed to play a gig quite close to, a show.
Yes, let's
Sorry,
just be
very
clear
important
about that.
shows. They don't do gigs. We don't do gigs. We do shows. Anyway, they were doing a show quite close to where I was, or they were supposed to do this show, which actually ended up getting cancelled. But I remember having a big strop because I wasn't allowed to go because them punks would be there, you know. I was a big fan. I loved the records. I just loved the excitement of it. I loved the whole kind of rush and the energy and the impudence of it, actually, in a way. You know, they were cheeky and clearly enjoying it and kind of not at all paying any kind of respect to what they were doing. They were just really, really enjoying it, and there was a real cheeky kind of vibe that came from them. And I, as a kid, I reacted to that as well, because as a kid, you tend to be kind of rebellious, and I had a lot of pride in them, actually, and I really kind of looked up to them, and here we are. Don't tell them I said any of this, by the way.
No, you're among friends. It's all
Yeah,
right.
okay, yeah.
And of course, the Undertones were on hiatus for years, and then
Yeah.
they came back, but they didn't come back with Fergal Sharkey. They
No.
came back with you.
Yeah, they
Take us back to the moment.
Well, I think they couldn't get anybody else, and I think Neil Hannon can't hit a high A. No, I was living in Dublin. I had just moved to Dublin, where I still live, and I got a call just out of the blue from Billy going, "We're reforming. Will you do it?" "Oh, yeah, absolutely." And I put the phone down and went, "No, wait a minute. This might be terrible," you know, and it was a very daunting thing.
Well, what went through your mind?
All sorts of things go through your head. Maybe it's a big legacy. It's a big thing that's remained untouched for all these years, you know, to kind of revisit it and be the new guy and kind of go into that. Would it be perceived as maybe arrogant or kind of, you know, stepping into shoes that are too big for you or whatever? Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, you're afraid of failure. I think everybody is. But after we'd rehearsed a couple of times, I kind of began to come around to the idea that actually I think it's going to be all right. And my instincts, thankfully, were correct, and people really loved it. I'll never forget those 2 nights we did in the Nerve Centre, and the kind of the joy in the crowd, you know, and just to be part of that, and to be kind of bringing that music back to life on a stage in Derry after all that time, and they have everybody on stage having such fun and everybody in the audience having such fun. It was just great, and I suppose that was the reason that it kind of kept going. People asked us to do it again, so we did, and then it went to another thing, and we ended up just kind of doing it more and more, and we ended up making some new records. So it's, you know, all these years later, we're still doing it, and we wouldn't be doing it if we weren't still getting that kind of buzz. So it's just been tremendous, and it's just been a real dream come true, literally, for me. I just try to do it my way as best I can, and with all due respect to Fergal, he's a great singer, you know, and but I can't be him, you know, and I'm not, you know, as I'm sure you've noticed.
I heard that you once introduced the song Male Model by saying that you nearly became a male model. Is this true?
Well, obviously.
And can you and can you elaborate on that tale?
I'd have made an excellent wristwatch model for Freeman's catalogue. No, I said that, but funnily enough, you say things and they kind of take on a you know, the most random, arbitrary things that you just say in this day and age. You need to watch. Until quite recently, according to Wikipedia, I co-owned a haulage company with Mick Hucknall, which isn't true, by the way. In case any of you need any stuff taken around the country. But, you know, that. I wish it were, because I actually think it would be great, you know, Mick and I in the lorry
What's
business.
he like?
You know, I mean, that's true. That only came to... I didn't challenge it. I left it there because I just thought it was hilarious. And I actually had people asking me in all seriousness, "Do you really own a haulage company with Mick Hucknall?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, of course." So, yeah, I missed the boat. But I don't know, there might be still a market out there for mature, slightly overweight models.
Well, Paul, it's been great chatting to you. When you're ready,
Okay.
take to the stage. And,
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed. Paul McLoone, ladies and gentlemen. And this is Male Model.
The company's called Simply Road.
Michael Bradley.
When I was young, I never wanted toys. Things like that were for little boys. My mother bought me clothes for a favorite son. 3 miles out of MP61. I wanna be a male model. I wanna be a male model. I wanna be a model. A model. Read women's magazines for fashion sense. Seeing all those prices there are kinds of pants. Realizing that I can't afford to buy you clothes. I'll never get the chance to say I'll take those. I wanna be a male model. I wanna be a male model. I wanna be a model. A model. Fed up wearing things secondhand. Color once belonged to another man. Treasures I learned I just had years ago. Anything cheap, I don't wanna know. I wanna be a male model. I wanna be a male model. I wanna be a model. A model. I wanna be a male model. I wanna be a male model. I wanna be a model. A model. A model. A model.
Thank you.
Little mummy's boy, he wasn't very old. Though he was very small, he did what he was told. Jimmy, 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 oh, Jimmy, Jimmy. Poor little Jimmy wouldn't let go. Stay awake at night, lying in his bed. No one ever listened to a single word he said. Jimmy, 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 oh, Jimmy, Jimmy. Poor little Jimmy wouldn't let go. Silly boy, silly boy, silly boy, such a silly boy. Jimmy, 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 oh, Jimmy, Jimmy. Poor little Jimmy wouldn't let go. Now little Jimmy's gone. He disappeared one day. No one saw the ambulance that took little Jim away. Jimmy, 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 oh, Jimmy, Jimmy. Poor little Jimmy wouldn't let go. Poor little Jimmy wouldn't let go. Jimmy, 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 oh, Jimmy, Jimmy. Poor little Jimmy wouldn't let go. Poor little Jimmy wouldn't let go. Jimmy, 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 oh, Jimmy, 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 Jimmy.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Jimmy, Jimmy. And folks, that is nearly it. But September 28th, 1978 will always be a red letter day for the band. This is what happened.
tell you what, you know, I've not done this for ages, but I think we ought to hear that again. Hold on a second, just talk among yourselves. Listen, when you listen to it this time, those of you who are familiar with the work of Loudon Wainwright, last time I played it, the pig said, the lead singer sounds like Loudon Wainwright at times. It may sound a bit fanciful, but listen to it again and see what you think. An excuse for playing it twice.
So, do you remember where you were when you heard John Peel play Teenage Kicks twice?
It was our HQ house, of course. Our house, Beach Avenue.
We were all there.
We were all there because I think we must have got wind that he was going to play. He must have... I think Billy, did you ring?
John Peel, because we had phoned John Peel now and again. And we did.
Before the record was out, like.
I know, you could pick up the phone. This is way back in 78. You could pick up the phone and phone through the BBC and ask, can you speak to John Peel?
Especially if it was O'Neill's phone. He wasn't paying the bill.
They had a
Just thought I'd say
50p. But they put 50p under the
phone
machine.
bill. No, it wasn't a 50p, no. But it wasn't your house, like.
I know. But you could sit through to John Peel, and anyway, whenever John Peel got the record, we checked with John Peel, he said that he got it, and he did, and he said he was going to play it on a Monday, I think it was, but we didn't know what time, but we knew he was going to play it, so we all huddled around the radio to hear it.
John, do you remember writing Teenage Kicks?
Kinda, you know, at that time, it wasn't any more special song than any other song to us at the time, I don't think, you know, so...
Well, can you tell us how it came together?
Probably stealing off something else, as usual.
We all stole.
Which Crystals or something was it, or...?
As you can hear from a lot of the songs I wrote in that first LP, I really was loving the early rock and roll stuff anyway. You can hear references to Damian and the Belmonts, She's a Runaround, or Eddie Cochran and Girls Don't Like It and stuff. And Teenage Kicks was another one of those early, trying to write an early rock and roll song, really, I suppose. When I seen American Graffiti, the film, when it came out in '75, I think, obviously living in Derry and the north of Ireland and stuff, you had to kind of make up your own world a wee bit just to escape the horror that was going on anyway. And American Graffiti had a big effect on me. That, you know, the idea that, you know, teenagers and the freedom of being teenagers and stuff, that you riding around on hot rods and listening to rock and roll and stuff, and obviously that reverberated in punk rock as well. The kind of, you know, adolescent angst, and I suppose Teenage Kicks seemed to encapsulate all that in one song. I didn't know it at the time, but you know, when we made the record, we obviously thought the song was good because we included it on the EP, and it always went down quite well live, but I don't think we really thought it was that great a song at the time, really, to be honest.
No, I did. I did. No, I really did. They wanted to put True Confessions as a single, and I says, no, it has to be Teenage Kicks.
No, we didn't.
Don't listen to him.
No, we didn't.
Another thing we should say...
But don't interrupt me when I'm speaking. Do me the courtesy.
Even though John Peel's been mentioned, we've got to mention Terry Hooley as well, because
absolutely.
if we hadn't got Terry Hooley, we'd never made the record in the first place. So then I got that in.
Well, how important was Terry Hooley?
No Terry Hooley, no Teenage Kicks.
Exactly.
Because we weren't going to make it ourselves. We weren't going to... We'd sent away demos to people, and they sent it back. And the demos sounded like the record, you know. There was nothing changed. It's not like there was some magic ingredient in Wizard Studios. But without Terry...
We were breaking up anyway.
All the time.
All the time, because we were just frustrated. Nothing was happening for us. Nothing.
We heard through John Peel playing the records that bands in Belfast were able to make records. We weren't able to make one in Derry, so that's why we made approaches through a friend of ours, Bernie McInerney, who knew Terry and all that. So that's another long story. But it was Bernie that got Terry to allow us to make the record. And Terry says, yeah.
Do you ever resent the success of Teenage Kicks? Because great though it is, it has overshadowed some of your other songs, which are every bit as good, if not better.
No, I don't.
I don't say he doesn't.
He's the money.
Yes, because we had a top 10 hit, didn't we, Michael?
Technically speaking...
But he's richer than us.
Technically speaking, My Perfect Cousin is a bigger hit. Yeah. Number 9. Teenage Kicks got to number 31. Does anybody care? Do they? No. No, I don't. I think Teenage Kicks... I think Teenage Kicks actually sounds probably better than any of the records we made. Because there's a rawness that we didn't have on the later stuff, you know?
That's really true.
Any band likes to have a hit in their set list. They have a record like that in your set. That's great.
Well, one last question then. 40 years on, what's it like to still be together as a band?
We all get on really well.
It seems to be more fun now, believe it or not, than it was back then, because there's a lot of pressure and stuff, and we all had our own little hang-ups or whatever, so it's nice. It's really
You can
nice.
see we're all really mature now.
Yeah. Welcome to my world.
Well, you give it up for the Undertones, folks. The Undertones. From me, Stephen McCauley. Bye for now.